NFL Week 1 is finally here, and in this video, I'll be sharing my daily fantasy and sports betting picks and plays for Underdog Fantasy, Prizepicks, and Sleeper. I'll be using two tools in this video. The first one is Outlier, where we're going to try to find trends and find some really strong trends that back up some of these plays on Underdog Fantasy and Prizepicks. And the second approach is the traditional positive EV approach. I use dgfantasy.com to try to find the best discounts on the board on these prop websites compared to all the other major sports books. If you're not in my Discord yet, it is free to join. The link is in the description below and also in the pinned comment below. I have a bunch of resources in there for betting education. I post all of my plays in there. There's two other cappers who post free plays every single day in there as well. And it's a completely open community. It's not like any other sports betting Discord that you've been in before. It's really for you guys. It's really for your benefit. And I just want to share my knowledge and share as much knowledge as possible with you guys because we all just have the same goal here. We all want to make money at the end of the day. And honestly, I don't want to take cash out of your pocket. I want you guys to have all the resources so you can start winning more bets this NFL season. Now, let's head over to Underdog Fantasy, see what promos they got for us. They have a couple discounts on the board with Harrison, Jefferson, and Kamara. I have to make those plays today because it is Wednesday and there is an 18-hour timer on it. So I'll make a play on that and post that in the Discord server. And then we have the Travis Kelce gimme pick. I will also make a play on that and post that in the Discord as well. So that's why the Discord is the best place to be because that's where you'll see all of my plays right when I make them. And if I'm using a positive EV approach and trying to get ahead of some line movement, that's the place where you're going to be able to jump on the lines before they move, just like I do. So I already made a couple plays on Underdog Fantasy and shared in the Discord server. So the first one I made, this was a positive EV play on rushing attempts. All these lines might not be there by the time you watch this video, but if they are, I would jump on them because there's some really good value. So Aaron Jones, higher than 12.5 rushing attempts. Tyler Algier, lower than 8 rushing attempts. And Isaiah Pacheco, higher than 14.5 rushing attempts. I use the tool on dgfantasy.com to find these plays, so I filtered by NFL. And we look at the top of the list here, you see Tyler Algier, under 8 rush attempts. His line is 7.5 and 6.5 on all the other sports books, so it's a mispriced by Underdog Fantasy. That line will drop to 7.5 at some point today. The second play I had was Aaron Jones, over in 12.5 rush attempts. Same scenario, you see it's 13.5 on FanDuel and some of the other books, and then juiced to the over on 12.5 on DraftKings and BetMGM. So that's where we're getting the value on Aaron Jones. And then I actually found the Isaiah Pacheco rushing attempts on Outlier. So I combined both strategies to make this play. Isaiah Pacheco went over 14.5 rushing attempts in 9 out of his last 10 games. If you look at the full season last year, it was 13 out of 18. Early in the year, they didn't use him as much. So that does concern me just a bit. But if Kansas City's offense is going to be similar to last year's, which I assume it would be under Andy Reid, and the same offensive coordinator and everything, they're going to be riding Isaiah Pacheco to the grind. So I'm hoping for at least 15 rushing attempts for Pacheco to go with that 9 out of last 10 trend, which includes a lot of the playoffs as well. So if I'm gonna go through these, I'm probably gonna go through Outlier first and try to find some props for us with Outlier. But I do want to share one more play before we go down like the main screen on Outlier and see like all the plays that are out there. So I made one other play that I posted in Discord and on Twitter yesterday. So we did Roquan Smith, lower than 5.5 tackles. CJ Stroud, lower than 0.5 interceptions. And Nick Bolton, lower than 5.5 solo tackles. How I found this play, so I went over to Outlier and went to the props, right? And so I set a filter for my books, which are Prizepicks and Underdog Fantasy. And then I filtered the odds for minus 120 to minus 115. So by doing that, it eliminates all the alternate lines that might be out there for Underdog Fantasy and Prizepicks, and it just focuses on the main ones. You can see there's a bunch here at the top for like Sam Darnold. You're going to see some Aaron Rodgers too. These are the props that you really need to look out for, especially when you're looking at the trends, because like all of us know, Aaron Rodgers only played a couple snaps last year, so obviously he's going to be under on interceptions on a 100% on his games last year because he only played a couple snaps. So you're going to have to look into a bit detail on each one of these, especially if you're looking at just 100% for last year. Like Jacoby Brissett, he did not start pretty much any games last year. He only played in 3 of them. And he only threw these many pass attempts as a backup. So, you have to definitely be careful when looking at these for NFL. As we get later on to the season, Outlier becomes even stronger when you're looking at, the last 5 and last 10 because it mainly focuses on the current year. But how I found these few plays here, so Nick Bolton, under 5.5 tackles. You see it was 9 out of the last 10 games. he had 5 or less. If you look at the full season last year, he only played 12 games, 11 out of the 12. He had 5 or less tackles. He only had 1 game over 9. And also in his last matchup with Baltimore, he ended up with 3 tackles. So that's how I ended up on Nick Bolton, under 5.5 solo tackles. Roquan Smith, very similar trend. Last 10 games, 9 out of the last 10, he had 5 or less tackles. So we're going to go with the under there, including the last 5 as well. Looking at the head-to-head with Kansas City, he ended up with 5 back on January 28th. And then the full season last year, he actually had a strong start to the season, so that slightly concerns me with this play a bit. But as you can see, as we got to the second half of the season, it was just all 5 or less. So I'm hoping that trend continues into early this season, especially with the matchup against the Chiefs, with being, he was under on that as well. So that's where I like Roquan Smith. And then if I scroll down a bit more, I'd have to probably do it by the 2023 number maybe, or maybe last 10. Where are you? I'm looking for CJ Stroud, but I can't find him just by scrolling here. Here he is. But if I am struggling to find him, I can always go up top and search, for the players filter and type in Stroud and filter for Stroud, and then it shows me all of CJ Stroud's props. So if there is a player that you're interested in and want to see like any trends, or if you want to make a bet on a player, just filter this and it shows you all of the trends for the player. And then when you open up their profile, you can select which prop you want to look at. Touchdowns, first quarter touchdowns, passing yards, passing touchdowns, all of them. So I'm going to be looking at interceptions right here. And in his honestly, in the entire season last year, he only threw a pick in 3 out of 17 games. So that's 14 out of 17 where he did not throw an interception. And I'm getting that line of under 0.5 interceptions on Underdog Fantasy here. So that's where I'm making this 3-play parlay or 3-play entry on Underdog Fantasy with Roquan Smith, Nick Bolton, and CJ Stroud. I tend to stick to 3-pick non-insureds on Underdog Fantasy because that's where the most value is. I would do a 3-pick non-insured, occasionally a 2-pick play, but generally you're not going to find the value where it's worth your time. But if you want to do it, go right ahead. At the end of the day, it's your choice with how you do it. I'm just sharing how I do it. So I pretty much always do 3-pick non-insureds. I will do 4-pick, 5-pick, and 6-picks flex plays because that's where the value is. So if you're doing 3 picks or less, do not flex it. Just go straight, for the home run, all or nothing. But if you're doing 4 or more, it's okay to do the flex play because you don't lose as much value by flexing those plays. You actually gain a bit of value on the 4, 5, and 6 flex plays. So that's the way to play an Underdog Fantasy. If you're playing on Prizepicks, never do a 2-man, never do a 3-man, never do a 4-man. Always do 5 and 6 picks flex plays. Those are the only ones where you're getting the most bang for your buck and getting the most value for your plays. So that's how you should play this NFL season, and honestly, just all year altogether on those 2 websites. So heading back over to Outlier and the props, and I'm going to see if I could find, maybe a couple plays here for you guys on this video that I haven't posted already to kind of show you my process with how I found these plays. So obviously I filtered by last 10 because I could do it by last year as well, but you see there's going to be a lot of fluff in there, like, the Aaron Rodgers, the Sam Darnold, a lot of backups. A lot of injuries too, Anthony Richardson. So at the top here, it's going to be really hard to find some of the top values. But as you start going down here, you see Keenan Allen. It's a different role, so I really don't want to jump on it because it's just a completely different role. Jameson Williams, his role hasn't really changed too much. He did have a lot of hype coming out of camp, but his line is still only at 3 receptions. It might be a play that might be a look for on Underdog Fantasy here. I'm not sure if it's on Prizepicks. It's definitely on Underdog. For under 3 receptions, you see 13 out of 15 games last year. He pretty much ended with 2 catches almost every single game. He had the 2 spike weeks. I think St. Brown might have been out one of those weeks too, so that might have been a boost for it. So it's a pretty strong prop, this Jameson Williams under on the receptions based on last year. The head-to-head, he had 2 receptions against the Rams back on January 14th. So I think it's a pretty good play. I would probably jump on it. You are risking a push if he does get 3 catches, but that's fine. So Jameson Williams under 3 receptions. I'm actually going to make the play here just so we go along with it with you guys and show you I'm not really fluffing you. So let's see, Jameson Williams under 3 receptions. Going back to Outlier here. If we want, we could go to the Insights tab on the top. And the Insights kind of shows us actually a bunch of trends as well. So if you filter it correctly, filter your sports books and then filter for the odds on the sports books and scroll down. Like Moody, he only had, he has failed to exceed 1.5 made field goals in 4 of his last 5 games at home. So you'll see trends like that when you're looking through the insights. Kyron Williams exceeded 13.5 yards in 7 out of his last games on his longest rush. So a lot of value out there that you could find by just looking in the insights and tailing those blindly. I like to try to find things myself, but hey, there's nothing wrong with tailing these insights blindly, especially once you get a larger sample size. Like once we're in maybe week 6 or week 5, you see some trends that are going in the right direction for you this current season. Last season's a little tough because the roles change and things like that. So gonna keep going down our list here, like Chase Brown, different role. Christian Kirk, Ridley's gone, so not Ridley. It's Ridley. Ridley's gone, so different role. Herbert, different role. It's hard to find players in the same role as last year, so that's why the CJ Stroud was a nice play there. Swift with a different team. We could go with the Bryce Young over on the passing attempts. Probably not a bad look here. Let's see how it was. So last year, he actually had over on the passing attempts in 13 out of his 16 games. I think it's a pretty strong prop. Obviously, the sports books, juicing it slightly to the under. So that's why I said this isn't really a positive EV approach. It's more of a statistical based approach. But if Carolina's going to improve, and if they're going to keep losing these games early on and maybe start mounting some comebacks, like if New Orleans gets an early lead, Stroud's going to be passing the ball a lot. So I'm going to go with this over 30.5 passing attempts on Bryce Young. Sorry. We're going to go Bryce Young. We're going to go over on the passing attempts. Where are you? Here you are. That's the season-long prop. Don't take the season ones. There's not much value in those. So head back to the prop screen here. Let's go to Underdog Fantasy, or DG Fantasy, see if there's any props that are popping for us for yards or something. Josh Allen, under pass plus rushing yards, 288.5. It should be a little bit lower on Underdog Fantasy, so that's where the value lies on him. So I'm going to add a Josh Allen under 288.5 pass plus rushing yards. So 280.5 pass plus rushing yards. That's a 3-pick non-insured entry. Honestly, maybe I'll just keep going and make this a 6 picks for you guys, so I give you more picks in this video. So going with DG Fantasy for more. Deshaun Watson under on the pass attempts. Decent prop, but nothing special. Mark Andrews under on the reception. Same thing. It's decent, but not amazing. But I'll probably take it because there is some good value on it. So we're going to go Mark Andrews under 4.5 receptions. And you know what? Maybe I'll combine this with one of the discounts. So we're going to go higher than... Honestly, you can go any with them. It really doesn't matter which one you take. I'm going to take Justin Jefferson just because the guy's a fucking beast. I know it's Sam Darnold throwing him the ball, but he'll catch it no matter what. This is 5 plays. I need a 6th here. Where am I going to find the 6th? Maybe we'll use the Insights tab. Maybe I'll go with maybe the Jake Moody field goals, or maybe the Deebo Samuel failing to exceed 49.5 receiving yards in 6 out of his last 7 games. I'm not sure if that's on Underdog, but it's certainly on Prizepicks. So let's see if it's there. So Deebo, it is 46.5 on Underdog. So you're getting some positive EV value on Prizepicks with Deebo Samuel. So the Moody field goals looks fine. Let's see, Kyron Williams with the longest rush. Maybe not a bad idea against Detroit's defense. They're usually a pass funnel, though. But Kyron Williams exceeded 59.5 rushing yards in 8 straight games. Let me look at his profile really quick. So we'll click in here. It shows the matchup between the Rams and the Lions. If we go down and try to find... I'm still learning how to navigate this site a bit. There is somewhere where I can get the Kyron Williams directly from here. I just need to find it. Maybe I can't directly from the screen. Maybe I can. Do matchup. Yeah, maybe I can't. I thought I can, but I'll go back on this and I'll try to find it for you, and I'll share it in the next video when I find it. So anyways, let's just go back to our props here. We will look at Kyron Williams. We'll filter for him. We'll apply it. And let's see. So last year, 69% of games he had over on the rushing attempts and the rush and receiving yards. Same thing with the rushing yards, over 59.5, but he was on 9 out of his last 10. Obviously, Blake Corum's going to be in there, and he will be a factor. But, I mean, look at these numbers for Williams. His lowest was 53, so even that was pretty close. Pretty much blew 59.5 out of the water on almost every game last year. Don't talk about the early part of the year. His role was a bit different. They took over as the workhorse. So I'm going to go with the Kyren Williams over 59.5 rushing yards on this play. Come on, Williams. There's so many Williams. So we got 2 Williams on this play here. So it's actually up to 60.5. But honestly, I'm still going to take that line. There is value in it because obviously he was crushing that number last year. So that is our 6-pick flex play. You see I risk $10. That's the max because I'm using the discount. If it wins, $250. If you go 5 out of 6, it's $26. So it's really just a solid play. They cannot detect my location, which is always an issue with my computer. Let me try to place it again. If it doesn't work, I'll just have to do something on the back end. There we go. So you see $10 to win $250. Williams, lower on receptions. Bryce Young, higher on pass attempts. Josh Allen, lower on the pass and rush yards. Mark Andrews, lower on receptions. Jefferson, higher on the discount. And Kyren Williams, higher on the rushing yards. A lot of these plays also translate over to Prizepicks as well, so that's why I tried to do some overlap with you guys. But if you want to sign up for Outlier, you can do a 7-day free trial. The link to join is in the pinned comment below. So if you want to give it a shot, try to find some trends of your own, that is a free way to do it, and it's a pretty affordable website. DG Fantasy is not a free website. It's pretty expensive, actually, but if you want 25% off, use code LayTheHouseRM when you sign up. Hopefully, I see you guys in the Discord posting some plays throughout the week and the rest of the weekend as well, so we can all cash in together on the NFL Week 1. I appreciate you guys sticking around to the end of this video. Drop a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, and best of luck on your plays this week, guys.